The story begins aboard a passenger plane mid-flight. A young woman suddenly collapses and loses consciousness, throwing the cabin into panic. The flight attendants immediately rush to her aid, but without a doctor on board, their hands are tied. Over the intercom, they broadcast a desperate plea. If there are any medical professionals among the passengers, please step forward to help. Among the passengers sits Kang Maru, a man in his early 30s, silent and withdrawn. When the announcement goes out, he quietly puts on his headphones, pretending not to hear a word. But his best friend, sitting beside him, knows the truth. Maru is a doctor, once one of the brightest medical students of his generation. His friend rips off Maru's headphones and urges him to step forward. Reluctantly, Maru moves to the aisle and examines the unconscious woman. With practiced precision, he checks her blood pressure, monitors her breathing, and listens to her heart. His quick diagnosis: respiratory failure triggered by an underlying cardiac condition. He stabilizes her condition temporarily, earning the gratitude of the crew. But then, an unexpected twist shatters Maru's composure. A woman rushes forward, tearful, frantic, calling the unconscious girl her daughter. When Maru looks up, his heart stops. Standing in front of him is Han Jae-hee, the woman he once loved more than life itself, the woman for whom he sacrificed everything. The child he just saved is Jae-hee's daughter, a daughter she had with her wealthy husband. For Maru, the revelation cuts deeper than life itself. The woman for whom he sacrificed everything. The child he just saved is Jae-hee's daughter, a daughter she had with her wealthy husband. For Maru, the revelation cuts deeper than any wound. Memories he had tried to bury resurface, reminding him of a past filled with betrayal and regret. Years ago, Maru had been a promising young doctor with a brilliant career ahead of him. But one fateful night destroyed everything. His girlfriend, Jae-hee, called him in desperation. At the time, Maru's younger sister was burning with fever, but he didn't hesitate. He left his sister behind and rushed to Jae-hee's side. When he arrived, he found her trembling and covered in blood. On the floor lay a man, lifeless. Jae-hee confessed through sobs that she had killed him in a struggle. As a doctor, Maru could see immediately that the victim had suffered a fatal head injury and bled to death. Maru begged Jae-hee to turn herself in, reminding her that, accidental or not, it was a crime that needed accountability. But Jae-hee refused. Instead, she picked up a broken shard of glass, pressing it against her own wrist, threatening to end her life. She was terrified, not of prison, but of losing her career as a television reporter. In that moment, Maru's love for her overpowered reason. He couldn't bear to see the woman he loved ruin her life. So he made a choice. He kissed her tenderly, a final seal on his devotion, and declared that he would take the blame. That night Maru abandoned his future, his medical license, and his freedom. He confessed to a crime he hadn't committed and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Maru believed his sacrifice would prove his sincerity. But while he was locked behind bars, Jae-hee didn't wait for him. Instead, she sought out a wealthy benefactor, Chairman Nam, a powerful man who could shield her from the scandal. With tears in her eyes, Jae-hee handed Chairman Nam a folder of incriminating documents, whispering that she didn't need to explain. He would understand everything. The chairman embraced her in silence, offering comfort and protection. To Maru, the cruel reality became clear. The woman he had risked everything for had betrayed him for money and security. His love, his sacrifice, his future, all discarded like they meant nothing. Now, years later, fate has brought them face to face again, 30,000 feet above the ground. The woman lying unconscious before him is the daughter of Jae-hee, the very person for whom he threw away his life. As Maru processes this revelation, the weight of his past crashes down on him. He is torn between his oath as a doctor and the pain of betrayal that still festers deep inside. Though he saved the girl, he is left hollow, questioning why fate would be so cruel as to reunite him with the ghost of his first love in such a twisted way. For Maru, the sight of Jae-hee and her daughter is not just a coincidence. It is a reminder of the price of blind devotion, of how love turned him into a martyr, and how betrayal left him broken. After taking the fall for his lover's crime, Kang Maru spent 5 long years behind bars. On the night of his arrest, he had called his younger sister for one final farewell, knowing his sacrifice would change both their lives forever. When Maru was finally released, he was no longer the innocent, idealistic man he once had been. His time in prison had hardened him, stripping away the warmth of his youth. On the outside, he appeared to be a wealthy, charming young man, indulging in fleeting romances with women who fell for his charm, only to abandon them without hesitation. No matter how desperately they clung to him, he pushed them away coldly. For Maru, no woman could erase the memory of his first love, Han Jae-hee. She remained a scar etched deep within him. Every relationship after her was meaningless, just passing shadows. Meanwhile, Jae-hee had not only escaped punishment but had climbed to a life of luxury. She had married Chairman Nam, a powerful and wealthy man. Whatever promises she had once whispered about waiting for Maru, about repaying his sacrifice, had long since been forgotten. In Chairman Nam's household, there was another key figure, Seo Yoongi, his daughter from his late wife. Yoongi was the strong and sharp-minded owner of a famous cosmetics company. Though often underestimated because she was a woman, Yoongi carried herself with pride, boldness, and an unshakable will. When a customer publicly accused her company of selling harmful products that caused an allergic reaction, Yoongi personally stepped forward to handle the scandal. She bowed deeply, offering a sincere apology. To further prove her company's integrity, she even went so far as to eat food laced with her own cosmetics in front of the accuser. The woman was horrified, but Yoongi exposed the truth. This supposed customer was no innocent victim, but a Korean woman hired by LK Company, a competitor, to sabotage her business. Lawyer Park, Yoongi's trusted ally, then revealed evidence that the woman had recently received a suspicious payment of 3 million won. Humiliated, the woman had no defense left. But behind Yoongi's fearless exterior was a secret vulnerability. She suffered from recurring chest pain and fragile health. To make matters worse, her stepmother was none other than Han Jae-hee. Though Jae-hee pretended to care for Yoongi, Yoongi despised her deeply. The tension grew worse after Jae-hee bore Chairman Nam a son, solidifying her place in the household. Yoongi could not easily drive her out, despite knowing the woman's true nature. As for Maru, his life of apparent luxury was nothing more than a carefully crafted facade. He wasn't truly wealthy. His schemes often involved manipulating wealthy women, not out of love, but for revenge. In one case, he seduced a girl who had deceived his best friend and stolen all his assets. Within 2 days, Maru tricked her into returning every last bank card. His cold precision and intelligence made him both feared and admired. After this, Maru and his friend Jae-gil boarded a plane back to Seoul. Fate, however, had other plans. On that same flight was Yoongi, traveling for business despite her poor health. Mid-flight, she suddenly collapsed, fainting onto Maru's shoulder. Though startled, Maru instinctively brushed her aside, uninterested in getting involved. But the situation quickly escalated. The flight attendants panicked. There were no medical staff on board. An urgent announcement was made, calling for any doctors among the passengers. Maru kept his headphones on, ignoring the cries for help, but Jae-gil knew the truth. that Maru was once a brilliant doctor. He urged him to step forward. Left with no choice, Maru reluctantly moved to the front. Calmly, he examined the unconscious Ungi, measuring her blood pressure, checking her pulse, and listening to her heart. His professional instincts returned instantly. He concluded that she was suffering from respiratory failure linked to a heart condition. But just as he stabilized her, another blow of fate struck. When Yoongi's relatives rushed to her side, Maru froze. Among them stood Han Jae-hee, his first love, the woman who had betrayed him, the woman who was now Yoongi's stepmother. In that instant, Maru realized the cruel irony. The woman he once sacrificed everything for was now tied to the young woman whose life he had just saved. When Kang Maru discovered that the unconscious girl he had just saved was Han Jae-hee's stepdaughter, his world tilted. The realization cut deep. Jae-hee had once promised to wait for him, but instead, she had married a wealthy older man who already had a daughter her own age. Now, she even had a young son with him. Maru, usually so composed, momentarily lost control. His heart ached at the cruel irony. He had given up everything for this woman, only to see her living in comfort while he carried the scars of her betrayal. The flight attendant's urgent voice snapped him back into focus. Setting his emotions aside, Maru rushed to stabilize Seo Eungi. With precision, he injected her heart twice, suspecting severe lung damage and broken ribs. Blood began to flow, intensifying the panic. Jae-hee, anxious and distrustful, tried to stop him, shouting that he wasn't even a doctor.